And good afternoon.
Bon après-midi.
Bon après-midi. Right? uh, Today I'm going to talk about some of you came here last time and some of you haven't come last time. And I have to explain to you about how to approach to the Buddhism, the way to approach to the Buddhism. Okay? Actually, we know about the Buddhism in like a Theravada, Zen Buddhism, Mahayana, Hinayana, Vajrayana. Actually, it's all together, but people divided. Buddha put everything together, but people divided. That's the problem. Because of the individual interest and because of the misunderstanding in the lineage and the misinformation, of course. Yeah. So for me, for me, the Zen Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, Hinayana Buddhism, it's everything together, but it has to approach by step. Many people, they are like into Vajrayana, in the first step in a Buddhism, which is not right thing to do, honestly speaking. But if you like that way, it's okay, it's up to you. It's not my problem. And I heard that some of you wants to take a refuge again this time. And I'm so sorry without preparation. So right now we are doing a name. It's like taking a refuge is like a commitment. It's not a commitment. It seems like, it looks like, it sounds like that you're giving a commitment to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and to all the sentient beings. But actually, that is not true. That's how you look. That's how it looks like. That's how it sounds like. That's how it feels like. But honestly speaking, taking a refuge is a commitment to yourself. Yeah, commitment to yourself, that not running from the reality, living in the reality, which is really important. Many religious people, they run away from the reality. They explain beyond the reality, which does not exist, which is the big misunderstanding. So, whatever comes in the reality, teachings to yourself, and that's the true practice, actually. So, like me, I was, as I told you, my life story, I don't really consider myself as a Buddhist the way you're expecting, but I am Buddhist somehow in myself. Yeah. Because, example, me, when the true understanding about the Buddhism will appear when you have the true respect and the understanding towards your spiritual advisor. Without the love and respect, when I say love, it doesn't mean sexual, okay? Love means understanding, the way to approach, the way to appreciate with advice and practicing what you receive from the teaching. And I think that is really important, because we always thinking that our spiritual advisor will fix everything in my life, and that's why I'm practicing Dharma, which is not true. Again, in your normal life, it's your own responsibility. In the spiritual life, of course, the spiritual advisor, he will give you advice. Of course, in the spiritual part, for your own qualification, to clarify your own mind, the nature of our mind, will help by the spiritual advisor. But if you have a car problem, he won't fix the problem. Okay? So the root guru or the spiritual advisor is not a person who can fix everything, but in a certain way who can approach to you, who can help you. So you have to understand exactly like that, because many people think that whatever happens in my life, my root guru, like spiritual advisor, he will fix everything, anything, which is the big problem. And you start dealing with you stop dealing by yourself in your own life, in your responsibility, which is the lack of understanding, just to let you know. Okay? So, and that's how you approach to the Buddhism, and then that's how you, if you met in the right time, of course you will meet the spiritual advisor when you want to connect it to the Buddhism. But sometime, you cannot approach, you cannot connect with the true spiritual advisor. So to be patient and to take your time is really important. But in the same time, the difference between the Westerner and Easterner, as I share with my friends this morning, Westerner, we think more, we think too much in the beginning, and we believe later, okay, in what we have to practice. And then Easterner, they believe before they think. And when they reach the last destination, and then they start thinking. And the Westerner, they think too much, and they practice later. So which is very not really well balanced. So we have to know how to integrate between the intellectual mind and between the true meaning of practice. Yeah? Because you cannot change the truth. Truth it is what it is. And as a Buddhism, it's all about how to recognize yourself with awareness, with the stability, with the clarity. Yeah? When you're in the part of the Buddhism kind of practice, and there's for me, there's an idea of have to be a monk, have to be a nun. For me, it's like if you can truly practice in your private life without disturbing from your normal life, you're already monk, you're already nun. You don't have to cut your hair, especially the lovely ladies. And then you don't have to take off your lovely jacket, especially the guys. If you have the privacy for the practice and the awareness with your lifetime, and for a few hours distance from our busy life, you are a monk, you are a nun. Okay? It is very simple. Because I've been living in this kind of heavy structure, so I can see what is happening inside. Because what you see for the Buddhism is just a cover of the magazine. Okay? I've been living behind the magazine and working in the factory. I know what is going on inside and what is happening because of the heavy structure. So I want you not to be confused, but to practice Dharma. Yeah? And because, in the time of Buddha, India, we say that India is Asia. India is not Asia. India is Middle East in the time of Buddha. The mentality of the people, the structure of the country, the people's skin, the people's food, the people's culture, the way of their mentality, it is a Middle East. So their religious way and point of view has to be like a Middle East. We say that India is Asia, but it is not Asia. It is a part of the Middle East. And that time, people don't have time to have a relationship. Okay? And like nowadays in the Middle East, you don't have time to have a relationship. You get married, you can get married once in a lifetime. And you have no right to choose by yourself. And it's all family arranged marriage. It works like that in 1,000 years before. Okay, that's the culture. That's the culture. That's the mentality of that time. And then when they are like a family marriage, and then you don't have the time to know to each other. You don't have a time to appreciate each other because you don't love each other. But it's a family marriage, and then you get divorced after when you don't get along. And then Buddha, he gave a very great idea, not to get confused in your own life from the separation from your family, but to be a monk or nun, to have your own private life, which people can respect to you, and at the same time, which you can have a spiritual Dharma practice. And that's how it works in the past. Because in that time of culture, reputation is more important than anything. And that's how it was in the past. Nowadays, nobody cares about reputation. Yeah, just be myself, who cares, you know? Let them talk whatever they want to talk. Let them say whatever they want to say. Let them hate me. Let them like me. I'm independent. Nowadays, everything is independent, most of the time. But in the past, in the time of Buddha, it's not independent. It's not free as now. Is very into life, is into reputation. You know, life is not into free or possibility. Life is not about the choice and the relationship. Life is all about reputation at that time. Yeah. An example. Okay, we say in the Buddhism there's a lot of discipline for the monk and nun. All right. And if you truly been through all the life experience, there's no discipline at all because you know what to do. You know what not to do. There's no discipline actually. But when you're forced to become a monk since you're a kid, in the time of Buddha, nobody put their kids when they, to be a monk. But nowadays, the huge misunderstanding is like every poor family, they put their kids to become a monk for the surviving for their life, and that brings the huge misunderstanding in the Buddhism. So just to let you know, just to make clear, I'm not going against the traditional way. But I just want to share with you what was the difference in the past and now. And what Buddhism needs is, of course, other great masters, they are already doing the same thing, what I'm saying. But what Buddhism needs is a different approach, but the same result. The image doesn't need to be stuck there like a few thousand years, you know. The image can be changed according to the people's understanding, according to the people's appreciation in their life and their responsibility with their family. Image can be changed. Result doesn't need to be changed because we all want to be happy. And then also that Buddhism, they always talk about jealousy, ignorance, ego, attachment, lots of tick-tock word, you know, like all this rubbish word they use all the time, you know. When they meet the people first time, they say, samsara, attachment, jealousy is not good, everything is samsara, and then you feel very bad, you know, like, why I'm stuck in this world, I don't know what is wrong, you know. Actually, the Buddhism people have to make people happy, you know, but instead of making people happy, they're making people depressed. Some of them, not all of them, some of them. Yeah. Because it's really difficult to not to have attachment, not to have a desire. It's very impossible. But Buddha never judged other people, and we have no right to judge other people. And he never created a law. He never created discipline. He just gave advice to the people, and that's all he did. Yeah. So, like example, like shifting your attachment. Most of the people, they think they have no attachment because I'm in a Buddhism. But you are still in the attachment world because you just shift your attachment. You just shift. You know what I mean? Attachment, jealousy, ignorance, ego is there. But you just moved in a different path. But you're still going through the same way. And that's why the Buddhism is always messed up. There's some, not all of them. Some, maybe 20%, I would say. Example, when we make a house, this design have to be there, this structure has to be there, this TV have to be there, this laundry room have to be there. Okay, we have all this idea. Okay, in the Buddhism, same. All this, this one have to be there, this one have to be there, and this image have to be this and here, and this table have to be here and there. It's almost same. It's almost same. Just the structure and the image is different. That means you're just shifting your attachment, jealousy, ignorance, ego, and you're not dealing with the exact problem. I will say not to go against the attachment. I will say not to go against the desire, jealousy, ignorance, ego, or happiness or unhappiness or everything. What I would like to say is just be careful with the result. That's all I will say. Okay? Just be careful what kind of result you want. That's it. It's very simple. Okay? You want this, you want that, you like this, you don't like this. But what is the result? You know? What kind of result you want? What kind of result that you don't want? Just be careful with the result, and that's all I will say. Feel free, be happy as a Buddhist practitioner. You know, because like some lamas, they teach you like, jealousy is bad, attachment is bad, and ignorance is bad. You know, it's like, you know, like many box, you know. And for the small cat, you know, for one cat here, lots of box. It's too heavy. And when we go back home, and we feel the jealousy, it just appears, and you know that it's jealousy, and you feel stuck. And then like there's attachment, attachment, stuck. And every time it appears, you feel stuck. So I don't want you to be that way. I want you to feel free, but in the same time, to be careful in what kind of result you want. It's simple. So, you know, and then like, that is just the beginning. Okay? That is just a preparation of a way of thinking about the Buddhism. Like a strong foundation, you know? And because like if you have a very solid foundation, and then it becomes a very solid belief. And once you have a solid belief, and it's difficult to approach to the people, because you want the people to be like you. And that's the problem, you know? And you think you are a great practitioner, after all, and then you want other people, when you approach to the people, and you make other people feel that they have to be like you, you know, which is the big problem, which people cannot be themselves, because we can be ourselves with awareness, with our own qualification, with our own practice. We don't have to be the same person as a Buddhist. You know, we can be who we are, you know. Who you are doesn't need to be changed, because that is the Buddha nature. When we need to recognize the Buddha nature, we need to recognize who we are. And then, because we cannot recognize who we are, and that's the problem, you know. Because we have all this structure in our mind. And when we do the practice, all the structure, it breaks down slowly. And then your mind become more peaceful, and if you can recognize that slowly afterward, after a long time, and then you have recognized the true meaning of enlightenment, but you don't have the stability in the state of enlightenment, the Buddha nature, let's say. Because like in the beginning, everything is important. When you practice Buddhism, Dharma, everything is important. At the end, nothing is important. But don't make up by yourself, okay? You need to go along with the practice, step by step. Yeah, because some people, they practice for a few years, and then they call themselves like, I'm a great practitioner, I'm a great realization. And they messed up their life, and they messed up with other people's life, which is a big problem also. To keep a distance, you know, that people is like me, you know, like me. Keep a distance, people like me, you know, it's really important. Because like, you know, because I've been lived in the monastery structure for 15, since I was born. Since that I can remember my name, from that moment till now, till 2 years ago, I've been like living in the monastery structure, you know. And when the structure is too heavy, there's a different mentality. So what I will suggest you, because like even becoming as a monk or nun, you know, it doesn't mean that you will get something from up there. It doesn't mean that you will give something from your side up there. It's commitment to yourself that you will practice Dharma, you will behave a good human being, and to help other sentient being, if ever I can find any possibility. So I think, you know, and then when we are talking about the practice, okay, now it comes to the practice, okay? So, it's really, you know, when because like I did practice like before Dharma practice, before the 3 years retreat, when I was 14, 15. But it's hard to get the qualification of the practice and the results. So, from my suggestion, I know it's difficult for you. In the future, I think it's important for all of you that if you're sure that you want to practice Buddhism, first it's important to study the Buddhism and to be intellectual a little bit. It's important. And then practice Dharma once you have the true path, and then practice Dharma. And when you're practicing the Dharma, it's really important to have your own privacy. Very, very, very important. You cannot, just to fulfill your habit, you can do one in the evening, one in the morning, or once a week or twice a week. But it's important to do like a retreat, like a 1 week retreat, once in a while, like 1 week retreat, and like not like every month, like in a 6 months, 1 week, to practice a little bit, to give your own time to the practice. Because practice won't come to you. You have to practice. That's how can you work with the practice, which is really important. Yeah? Because like when you start the practice, it's really difficult to have the true meaning of appreciation to the practice. It takes time. In the first, you have to get along with the practice, and the secondly, you have to appreciate the practice. It doesn't mean that you have to, but it will come. To come, that appreciation from your heart, it takes time. So, my first year of 3 days retreat, it wasn't good at all. I was, like very lazy most of the time. So by the second year and third year and the fourth year, I was more into practice, and there's a more appreciation, and there's a stability in my mind. Which I really missed that moment. So to practice is important. On the top of that, to maintain is important. Example like when you're in a relationship, when you're with the marriage, your family, okay, it's time to time, you say, I love you very much with your family, but you have to maintain the communication to improve the understanding to each other. Even the practice is the same. Once you commit to the practice, it takes time, and you have to maintain. That is the key. Many people, they just practice when they want. When they don't want, they just put it in the garbage or in the library. That's it. But it's really important to maintain. Maintain doesn't mean that you have to push really hard. Maintain means like at least like a 5 or 6 minute or 10 minute focus from your heart, with love and respect, and practice the Dharma little bit. I think little by little is more important than doing a large number of mantra. My point is, what you're practicing in the Buddhism is not a Buddhism, it's the truth. You're practicing the truth. That is the point. Mm-hmm. So, like example, like Mahayana, Hinayana, Vajrayana. Like in the beginning, to become a Vajrayana is really difficult. Example is like that. It doesn't mean that it's high. It means directly from from the school you go to university. You cannot do that. You have to go like college and then you go to university. It's the way of approaching. And the way of approaching, the way to increase your understanding and the knowledge. But in Buddhism, it's not just a knowledge, it's an experience, life experience. If you do have a life experience, and there is the true Dharma practice. If you don't have the life experience with your responsibility, and what is the point that you're practicing? And it's important to, as a Buddhist, all of us, whether you consider yourself as a Buddhist or not, anyway, it's important to all of us not to talk about emptiness so much, because it brings the confusion to the new Buddhist people or who've been interested. Because the meaning of emptiness, you can understand slowly, so it takes time. Everything takes time. In the life, your family, your job, it takes time. In the family, in the Dharma practice, it takes time. So it's really important to be patient. Again, I would like to tell you. Yeah. And from my point of view about the Buddhism, let's say, if I go back to the history, the Buddhism is very personal. Okay? Whether you call that spiritual or religious organization or whatever you call, what I can see, the Buddhism is very personal communication. Like, it's not like a public communication. It's like a really personal communication. And Buddhism is also the point and the meaning to reform the civilization, reorganize the way of life of the civilization. Buddhism is not about going to the cave, The Buddhism is not about running away from the reality. The Buddhism is not about running away from the family. And Buddhism is not about controlling other people. Buddhism is not about building, like lots of structure around. Buddhism is all about how to reform, how to reorganize the way of life, the civilization of the world, of the country, of the city, And that's what Buddha did. He left from his family when he was prince or king, whatever you call. And okay, you can say better, please. Example, like he left his family. And, as I told you yesterday, I believe the Buddha is like a normal human being. Not more than human being. He is a human being, extraordinary human being, very intelligent, smart, with a full of understanding how the human life works, how our mind works, how our body works, how the family life works, how the private life works, and how the Dharma practice works to our mind, and how the society works with our life. He studied everything, and he put together representing as a Buddhism. And for sure, in the Buddhism, in the Buddhist story, he said like for 6 years he did meditation and he came back. But I think he left to time to think. Well, that's what I believe. He left from his busy life of all this big royal family life, and he need time to think. Example, like when we have to leave to the airport before we are doing packing, we need time to think what is important, what is not important. If we don't have time to relax or think, and then when we are in the airport, we forget everything, So, and then when he came back, he changed the whole civilization and the way of life. So the Buddhism and the Buddhist teaching is a way of life. When we don't approach the Buddhism into our personal life, and then that's why there's in this world, because of the self-interest, and there's a big high and low. And the smart people, they study harder, and with their knowledge, they control the other people. And there's no caring or understanding or equal or respect to the people. So that's why the Buddhism is all about how to bring the equal to all the people, how to bring the respect to all the people, how to bring the understanding to all the people. And then that's why he put the concept of bodhicitta, let's say bodhisattva vow, and from that concept, from that kind of image and the result, it helps how to bring the equal to everyone in the society, So for me, the Buddhism is not about spiritual, outside of the country. The Buddhism is a way of life, and we have to understand that. To understand that, it takes time. Because every Dharma practice has to be deal with the reality result. That is most important. Many people, they practice Dharma, but they don't manage, or they don't integrate between the reality. What you practice is something up there, practice and visualization. They're not connecting. There's no communication between the practice and the reality. So that's why there's a confusion in the Dharma practice. That's why we think that why we have to believe so much, why we have to believe and visualize so much. But anyway, it's not a blind faith. That's why I told you to study Buddhism a little bit. On the top of that, how to bring the practice and the reality together, and how it works, what is the result. And that is the most important part we have to understand. But for that, to understand, we need to practice a little bit, of course. Because I've seen, even when I was in a retreat in the temple, I've seen lots of practitioners, when they sit down like this, all of them, they look like enlightenment. Okay? They're like completely enlightenment. And when you see them outside of the temple, they're completely madness. So some great practitioner, I totally respect them. Some great practitioner, they look completely enlightenment in the temple, and even in the outside in their life, they look completely peaceful person. So they know how to integrate between their life and Dharma. Dharma is life, life is Dharma. Okay, so it's all about how to work with our mind, because we always work with something else in our life. We know how to work with our job, we know how to work with our family, we know how to work with with our life, how to plan the schedule and busy life and everything to go here and there. But somehow, somewhere, we don't know how to work with our mind. And the important part is missing. Even me, I'm trying to work with my mind. I'm not enlightened, I'm sure. I'm not trying to make you think I'm humble, I'm really telling you the truth. And remember, I'm sharing with you as a family, as a friends. I'm not giving you a teaching here. I'm just sharing as a friends, as a family, just to share with my life experience and what I've been through and what I did to practice, and that's all I share. I'm not trying to make a fake story or really, really real story or not like a religious story. I'm just trying to share with my life experience and the Dharma practice and what I've been through and what I can understand. I will share with you what I can understand in the practicing of Dharma and the Buddhism, and what I don't know and how can I share with you. Yes. Because many people think that life of Rinpoche has always been happy, never been unhappy. And they understand everything, they know everything. I don't think so. I thought that it was only in the East, only in Asia, that's what I thought. Only the, my country people believes in that, Rinpoche is more than human being and he understands everything and he can fix everything, anything. And nowadays, the Rinpoche in the West, the Rinpoche works like a therapy, It's not so much Buddhism. It's like a therapy, And then I hear all the relationships problem, divorce problem, job problem, money problem, life problem, family problem. And then I have to listen, okay. Because I'm not trained as a therapy, So I have to listen. And then almost all the people, all of us, we are facing the same problem. That's why, and the answer is, we have to learn Dharma a little bit. We have to learn Dharma a little bit, according to your lifetime. Huh? I think some of you have to be my therapist after, So I can share with you everything, what is going with my center, what is going with these people, and what is facing a financial problem, and Dharma problem, and politic problem, individual problem. And I think I have a more problem than you. So don't expect from me to fix your problem, So please expect less from me. Yeah, I'm just a human being and I was born in a hospital. Okay? Because when I was in the retreat, I expect a lot from the practice, I have to practice a lot, I have to practice a lot, I have to chant a lot. And the attachment to the practice, towards the practice, And it just makes me more unhappy rather than being appreciation and happy, So that's why, from my understanding and from my experience, just to share with you, lots of people, they practice a lot, but with the small mistake, it makes a different path. So just to be careful, it's important. Mm-hmm. And some Buddhism people, they also talk about being a vegetarian and non-vegetarian, some people they say, they talk a lot. We are Buddhists and we have to be non-vegetarian, and because we are Buddhists and we are eating like all these things and that, this and that. But what I would like to say, because when I was in the United States, lots of questioned me. Lots of people they question me. Buddhism is like vegetarian, non-vegetarian. They talk a lot, and I said, what I said is like, just try not to act like a monster. That's all I will say. Do what you need to do for your own health, for your health care, for your mind and for your body to maintain, for your life and health, for yourself and for other. And just try not to act like a monster. Some people, they're crazy. They're acting like a monster towards the animal. So all the animal, small or big, has to be respected. We always think about big, we think, the elephant, tiger shouldn't be harmed. All this small chicken doesn't matter, It's not like that. Once you want to respect to all the sentient beings, need to be equal, and that is the more important part, And then like in the Buddhism, they always talk about, that they don't want to make a bad karma at all, the bad. For me, I don't believe in karma so much. I do believe in disrespecting others. The idea of the karma is to bring the respect to the family, to bring the respect to the society, and to bring the respect to yourself and to other. So that is the point of the karma. Karma is just a story, like an image. And like an image, the way of explanation. The true meaning of karma and the result in the reality is learning how to respect other people. When there's no kind of karma understanding, and then there's more self, less other. So when we have the karma understanding, it helps us to respect other, respect to yourself, and bring the equal to everyone,
Hi, dear friends. It was nice to have you back in in this moment and talking with you. And I'm so sorry that it's not really high qualify YouTube video. It's just a Facebook video. But anyway, I want to tell you about my life story in a few minutes. Um, like when I was, like many people think that Rinpoche they live in a luxury life and everything, or like luxury life and always like enjoying, happy, never been unhappy, always think like that. And some people think that Rinpoches are like, more than human being. For them, whatever you name them is like, for me, the meaning of a guru is all about his understanding about the life. And, I love my guru, but he's not more than human being. He's extraordinary human being. And, just to let you know about my life story, like when I was kid, I was living like a prince till I was 9. Many people think that all the Rinpoches has the same level of life, but all the Rinpoches they have a middle class, the luxury class, the the lowest class, like a little bit like this kind of class. So like I was like living in the best life of Rinpoche. And when my father was alive, I was living like a prince, sleeping, eating, playing games all the time. And when I was 9, my father passed away, and I had a very difficult life. People think that Kalu Rinpoche always lived in a very comfortable life. That's what all the people been thinking of, because his previous Kalu Rinpoche is really well known, popular. For me, like after my father passed away, I was transported to different monastery. And when I was like 12 and 13, I've been sexually abused by elder monks. So for me, I don't believe in monks so much, you know. So, and when I was 15, I did 3 years retreat. uh, from the from the guidance of my guru, and then like and I did tourist retreat, and nobody cares about me so much. Nobody knows where I am, how I am, you know. And after 3 years retreat, all the people are interested because you know they think that I have a kind of very great qualification and something that which I can remember about my past life, and it's nothing like that. And then some people they said I kicked out from I when I came out from my monastery. No, I mean like when I came out from the 3 years retreat. I mean, when I came out from 3 years retreat, and many people are making rumors and saying that I kicked out my mother, my family, and then like I kicked out my own teacher. Actually, it's nothing like that. My own Twitter, he tried to kill me. That's the truth. And that time I was really traditional, very good traditional Buddhist practitioner. They tried to kill me because I'm not doing what they want me to do. You know, it's that time I was a really good, traditional person. You know, and then he tried to kill me with the knife and everything, and it was a shocking moment for me. And after that, he left because when he realized about his own mistake, how can he still live with me? So he left and never kicked out anybody. And I had a family misunderstanding for 2 years and a half. And recently, like 6 months ago, I had a family reconnection. And everything is good. And after that, when I was like 18, well, I had all these big problems, and my own manager tried to kill me and everything, my tutor, I mean. And it's all about money, power, controlling. Because if you can control the president, you can get what you want. That's the way it is. And, and then I became a drug addict because all this misunderstanding. And, I went crazy. I became an alcoholic. I became a drug addict. I did lots of crazy things, but not the bad things. And and then like after that, I asked my guru, what is going on with my life? I don't know, because I see all these Buddhist people who are not Buddhist, and who are not Buddhist, they look like a Buddhist and they sound like Buddhist and they act like a Buddhist, and I'm so confused. And he said, Rinpoche, you have the capacity to change the structure in your own lineage, in your Buddhist organization. So that's why I'm trying to build a school and to build my own structure, and build my own structure and to build a school for the poor people. Because for me, the Buddhism and all this religious organization or spiritual organization is all about how to protect the society, how to protect the environment, how to protect ourselves, how to be afar from the weakness, how to understand the true meaning of point, you know. And so I will do whatever is best for the society. So that's why I'm planning to build a school. And my life is not easy. There's lots of people who doesn't like me, and there's lots of people who likes me. Whether you like it or not, in who I am, it doesn't change in the person who I am. So I will do everything I can in my responsibilities, but the structure needs to be changed, and the Buddhist teachings has to get involved in our personal life. Doesn't mean that you have to get away from your family, Stop thinking about sentient being if you can't help your own family. So first, to be responsible is really important, you know. And I don't want the Buddhism to get involved in business, politics. No, I want Buddhism to bring a beautiful image for the society and to understand the society. That's my point of view. And wish me the best for my project, for my school, which I can do the best for the society. And I'm just a normal human being. Even you live with me like 1,000 years, I will still tell you I'm just a human being, and I always will be like this. Everyone is perfect, no one is perfect. Anyways, all of you, please take care, and I'm happy with my life. And I'm not gonna change the way I am, and I'm not gonna change who I am. I'm happy in who I am. At the end, I can be myself now. So I wish to all of you, don't fall into confusion. Don't fall into confusion about Buddhism, okay? If you want to be a Buddhist, all you need is one person who has a spiritual understanding and a life experience, as I told you many times. And I'm so sorry about the cars running here there because I'm outside. Right, take care. Bye. Love you very much. And I'm happy, don't worry.